Well, I wanted to dive into the concealed carry part of your business, Jeff, because I know that you wrote a book about it
Mhm.
and that you travel and speak to lots of people about it. And so um, I wanted to ask you what your reason was for diving into the concealed carry market. And is there anything that you've noticed specifically about concealed carry that's either not accurate or not exactly correct that you could set the record straight about?
Okay, a lot of stuff to unravel there. Uh, so the reasoning behind the involvement in concealed carry was a roundabout type thing where we were asked by an organization to bring, I guess you could say, up to speed with what we call rest of world operations, meaning that we might be fighting a war over in this region, but we still have to be prepared for skirmishes or any type of hostilities in the rest of the world. So um, that means that we have a lot of guys that are actually doing low vis operations as part of what we call battlefield prep. And so we started to kind of like back in my time, the advances in battlefield prep were very, I mean, early. I mean, we were relying so heavily on other organizations to provide us with intelligence, and at this point, a lot of what we do is based on generating our own intelligence, which is fantastic. But back then, we still had to do it in kind of like the old fashioned, old school way, and it was unique in that sense. And so I had exposure to that early on in my career. Folks that come to our classes get a much more broader explanation or kind of history behind that. But I first started carrying concealed in the performance of my duties in, like, I think it was 1989, and concealed downrange in a non-permissive environment. So it was something that I started doing very, very early on. And we kind of, again, there was nothing of note as far as training was concerned back then.
Hmm.
So a lot of it was just, again, that creativity, that curiosity. And then what ended up happening was, as we uh, kind of got called back up, if you will, the interest gained in popularity, and we started doing it for one organization. Word got out, so another organization asked us, and then word got out, and then we tried to do it there, and then we went from the East Coast to the West Coast, and we started doing it outside of the military. Started doing it for law enforcement, and then as we started doing it for law enforcement, it put us more close to the general public at that point, and then people started paying attention to us at that point. And that was back in about 2014. And literally, I can remember we went from maybe doing one unit level concealed carry class. It wasn't called that back then, but one unit level per year, to all of a sudden we're doing, like, I would average probably about between, I would say between 22 to 26 classes a year. And those classes were generally broken up between pistol and rifle. And all of a sudden, we started doing almost half of our schedule was concealed carry. And
Wow.
that was during 2014 to about 2017. So for about 3 years, it just was the lion's share of our op tempo. And as we started to do it more and more, it became more and more popular. The concealed carry movement, we were right at the apex, right? I shouldn't say the apex, right at the beginning of the concealed carry movement, like the
Hmm.
most. We there's like different high points within the concealed carry history, if you will, and we kind of hit at a point where it had just, concealed carry was in its infancy at that point, and all of a sudden it's now starting to become a little bit popular. And then as we get to about 2017 to 2019, we see a huge spike. And then as we roll into 2020, we see an even bigger spike. And now, here past 2022, we're at an all-time high as far as concealed carry is concerned. So, we've been
Hmm.
sought after by just about every organization that, in the performance of their duties, they have to be concealed. We've worked with and trained with. Um, And then we do a lot of work with other more public organizations to just kind of help get the word out there as far as the importance behind not just the subject of concealed carry, but also to try to reduce barriers to entry for a lot of people that have, whether they're self-imposed, economically imposed, or geographically imposed restrictions. We've tried to work very hard to help provide answers for all those people in those situations.